It is Thursday, April 30th, 2020, and I am inside of the apartment number 51 at 408 West G Street. This is TRACEE Banks' apartment. What I've been capturing is in conformity to the overall pattern of conduct with regard to the state system of stalking, harassment, and monitoring. And again, as the history of documentation reflects, the hallmark signal, the way that is to identify and prosecute state monitoring, which is what is currently underway, while I remain inside of this apartment belonging to TRACEE Banks, who is a third-party insider acting in conformity with the state, who continues to stalk and surround and surveil this apartment via aircraft and via third parties who are surrounding inside of the apartment complex, Woodside apartments. All elements remain present. What I have captured visually is the presence of impossible light activity remaining stationary inside of the apartment, remaining in places that are improbable based on the actual location of the sun, the time of day, and the time of year. And again, this is in conformity to the overall pattern of conduct, and so the main indicator, the hallmark, that is, the presence of this element is indicative basically of the overall system, because the purpose of impossible sunlight is to engage in the pattern of conduct which is designed to engage in the criminal act of monitoring an American citizen. This is occurring while I remain inside of this apartment with TRACEE Banks in the living room. This is where the light is centered. This is where the elements are concentrated, very much like was recently documented even inside of the jail at West Valley, which was the last facility that I was inside of where the same pattern of conduct was underway. And so the latest image was light activity on the closet door, which is to my right as I sit on the couch watching television that's right in front of me. And so what you see is very subtle light activity, which is not coming from, it is not feasibly, I'll say it's impossible, that it is naturally occurring from the blinds that are directly on my left side of the living room. It is also, as I captured in photograph, not feasible, impossible to be coming through the door that is cracked. That's TRACEE Banks' bedroom door. That is also covered with a robe. You can also see in the photograph he's got lines, horizontal lines going down. This is at the top of the closet door that is to my right. This is light activity inside of the room. This is for the purpose of engaging in the criminal conduct of monitoring. That's light activity. That is the first element. That is a hallmark of the system. Where you see impossible light activity, it lets you know that monitoring is underway. But I will go forth and say that all other elements are also present at all times. But when you see impossible light activity, that in and of itself is indicative of what is currently underway. And so this is the way to identify it. And it is occurring inside of this residence. In addition to the impossible light activity surrounding this apartment, again, as I documented several days ago, the fake moon that was planted above the apartments as I walked out en route to Stater Brothers. And again, that moon, that crescent moon that was directly above the building as I exited to walk to TRACEE Banks' car, also trailed through the window as she drove to Stater Brothers. Again, that was at the corner of Holt and San Antonio, where there is a history of documentation of the pattern of conduct there as well. So that is nothing new. What I am showing is that it continues to occur. Airplanes continue to fly over, making themselves audibly perceivable. They are engaged in a stationary presence. They are acting in concert with third parties that surround me inside of this apartment, above this apartment, and around this apartment, engaging in all manner of activity that is visual, audible, and as well as any sensational that would be necessary for purposes of ceaseless monitoring. And so that's what I'm capturing. Again, it's April 30th, 2020, and it is highly relevant to know that I am inside of the apartment of TRACEE Banks. And this is the presence of impossible light activity directed inside of this apartment. And again, this is with regard to the presence of all elements that are necessary and occur simultaneously when you are engaged in targeting an American citizen. The targeted individual is surrounded at all times, again, through relevant positioning of third parties, insider or outsider third parties that are also including the presence of light, which is necessary in the capture of electronic information, which is when you are monitoring the target individual, and also with regard to the activity itself. And so inside of an apartment, you have all manner of ways to engage in creating audible activity. And so that goes without saying. What I am showing is the presence of impossible light activity. This is highly relevant. This is in conformity to every other venue that I have been at. And what I am showing is that the pattern of conduct is currently still underway after being released from unlawful confinement from West Valley, after being defamed by the judge, Lisa Rogan, after being subject to a fictitious prosecution. This is the reasons why the state is engaging in this conduct. This is the reason why I'm subject to false imprisonment. This is the reason why impossible light continues to follow me even inside of the jail, as is documented there as well. And so that is what is occurring. And this is also speaking to the feasibility with which the state is able to, especially when you're working in concert with the people of the state of California, engaging in consistently stalking, surrounding, and creating all manner of activity in order to engage in such monitoring activities. So what I want to state with regard to third-party conduct, the same patterns of behavior are present, as has already been documented, and so that can be expounded upon. It is only significant to state that the same third-party conduct, those same behavioral patterns that are common amongst third-party outsiders, that is strangers, and third-party insiders, right? Mostly TRACEE Banks, okay, because I do not communicate with anyone else. The behavioral patterns are identical. And so what you have is the presence of impossible light activity and third-party conduct acting in concert with the state who continues to stalk, to surveil and engage in monitoring, chiefly by aircraft and through law enforcement. And it's April 30th at 6:22 p.m. So it's 6:39 p.m. Again, I remain inside of the apartment. What I am capturing is a sample of the audible activity that the occupant in apartment number 55, directly above 51, where I am inside, is engaging in what I have identified as the corporate invasion of privacy. The third parties engage in listening to me, the targeted individual, at all times, again, as personal as bodily functions, listening to me in the bathroom. That's why this system that I've identified is a sexual offense as well. They are listening at all times and engaging in responsive conduct. That is the second element, creating activity. And so directly above is you have the occupant above responding by engaging in audible activity, stomping on the floor, which is the ceiling of this apartment, which creates a creaking sound in the ceiling. This is a pattern of conduct inside of the apartment here. If they engage in such conduct with simultaneity to my movement, and it is the exact same behavioral patterns. Specifically, as I engage in operation on my communication device, this identifies knowledge of my activity, acting with simultaneity to any change in my activity and my actions and my movement. This occupant directly above follows from room to room, creating audible activity, including this is that which would be statutorily defined as harassment as well, but it is relevant to note that it is pursuant to the pattern of conduct for monitoring specifically, but to engage in creating basically noise in order to monitor an American citizen, that is by definition also harassment. And so this is what it looks like inside of an apartment building. You have the occupant, the occupant of directly above upstairs, and this is Woodside apartments, so they frequently, as I have also documented, change occupants. So this is illustrative of what the system is appearing as, because the specific person engaged in pattern of conduct is actually just representative of that which is occurring on a wide scale. It's been my experience, it's been my observation, a matter of documentation, that the occupant directly above in number 55, who is directly listening and acting in concert with the state, also with TRACEE Banks inside of this apartment, is frequently changing. We've had occupants actually not we, but Woodside Apartments has abruptly changed the occupant upstairs, so being there one day and absolutely gone the next. And so this is relevant with regard to what I continue to document. Again, every word that I utter about what I am, every word that I utter out loud, they are listening to me. Again, there is no way to contradict the pattern of conduct. It is relevant to that which I continue to point out, but it is relevant to note in the prosecution of the state, where you have a system engaging in monitoring, stalking, and harassing, that they remain cognizant and directly aware and listening attentively to every word about their own criminal conduct. And so that's very relevant with regard to the system as I continue to expose it. The third party that is directly above in 55 was specifically right now engaged in just creating audible activity. That's the second element. All other elements remain present. Again, the resident directly above me is in relevant position above me in the apartment. TRACEE Banks is in relevant position to me inside of this apartment at any location, by the way. Also, third parties that engage in creating activity outside of this apartment, they also are in relevant position as they cross paths walking around. Also, there are apartments on the opposite side of the wall. They are in relevant position. I remain surrounded at all times by third parties who are acting in concert, who are engaged in corporate invasion of privacy and engaged in creating activity with simultaneity to my movement, actions, activity, or any change thereof, in addition to the state engaging in constant surveillance surrounding stalking and harassment via aircraft. All elements remain present, and this is very relevant directly to the impossible light activity, in addition to the light activity that is it is the superlative of that which I have continued to document with regard to the impossibility for light to appear in the way that it does, in the places that it does, at the times that it does. This is pursuant to an ongoing system of state stalking, harassment, and monitoring, and that is occurring inside of the apartment. Again, the fact that it is occurring inside of the apartment where I am located is within the pattern of conduct. This is indicative of, again, the hallmark of the universal indicator of the ongoing system, the ongoing pattern which continues to be underway. The third party directly above is engaged in that which is also a sexual offense. They are engaged in bathroom monitoring, listening to me as I use the bathroom, listening to me as I fall asleep, as I wake up, acting with simultaneity to whatever it is that they are listening to. And so just as that which was pointed out inside of the facilities at jail, those are a bunch of third party outsiders. I do not know any of them at all. Did not know any of them at Starbucks, did not know any of them at Stater Brothers. What I am showing is that the pattern of behavior, again, as I pointed out, is how you identify, is how you prosecute. All of the elements remain present. The behavioral patterns are identical. The specific identity of the third party upstairs is relevant. It is relevant. It is relevant, and that is also that is determinable who was actually occupying, but this is attributable to Woodside Apartments. This is a facilitating venue acting in concert with the state. The third party that is inside of that apartment engaging in concert with the state is engaged in that which is that which would be attributed to that individual, but it is more so what I'm pointing out on a universal scale is how this is a system not to be individualized. The third party upstairs is acting in concert with the state, is fulfilling all of the elements that remain present with regard to the system and listening to me speak of their criminal conduct right now as I utter each word. And so all elements, and this is what I'm stressing, that they remain present, that they remain consistent, and this is as I go from place to place to place. Irrespective of the party, again, it is not the identity of the individual, it's not their whatever they claim to be engaged in. That is mere form. What you see is the consistency of the substance and the ways in which you are easily able to continue to fulfill all elements with regard to the ongoing system. And this is irrespective of the identity. What you have are the behavior, the conduct, and that reveals what is actually underway. And that is consistently the case. It's April 30th, 2020. It's 6:46 p.m. And I am in Ontario at 408 West G Street inside of apartment 51. And again, the third party directly above apartment 55 is who was creating audible activity. And this has consistently been the case also last year, as was documented inside. This is the pattern of conduct inside of an apartment, a private residence. This is what P.O.C. looks like. It is 6:58 p.m. It's still April 30th. This is just to note the images that I took. That is inside of the bedroom, inside of apartment 51 at 408 West G Street. That is the apartment of TRACEE Banks, where all elements are present, including impossible light activity inside and around the apartment, and also it is 9:15 p.m., April 30th, 2020. I am at 408 West G Street, inside of the same apartment, apartment number 51, where P.O.C. is currently underway on an unceasing basis, and another iteration of the same P.O.C. Along the same lines of what I already openly discussed verbally. And again, with regard to the pattern of conduct by the state that is engaged in corporate invasion of privacy along with third parties acting in concert with the state, that is engaged in a system of stalking, monitoring, and harassment. You have and this is following my open verbal documentation. So like I said, the state's pattern of conduct is to actually continue to, it's like they mimic what they hear me say out loud, which is also confirmation that everything that I'm saying is, in addition to the documentation, the state's foolish conduct of engaging in that which they listen to me document about its criminal conduct. And so what you have is, as I sit in the living room for the past 45 minutes, you had a series of airplanes flying over and around the proximity of my location, in a loud manner, such that they were audibly perceived. This is following my verbal documentation today, which is no news. It's nothing new, and I have ample, in all forms, documentation of the stalking conduct by the state via aircraft. But today, again, it's relevant to that which I have already documented before. The state, third parties, when I was in jail, the deputies engaging in, I would say mimicking, but it's P.O.C., that which they listen to me speak about their criminal conduct. And so this is what you have with the airplanes. You have them ceasingly engaged in P.O.C. But again, what I'm noting now is that the airplanes increase their activity, their audible activity, because like I said, they do not cease to be engaged in P.O.C. They remain engaged in stalking and surveillance and in monitoring, and all elements remain present to that extent. But the past 45 minutes specifically, that was at 9:09 p.m., the last airplane heard audibly, loudly flying over this apartment complex. Again, this is Woodside Apartments. And again, while I was inside the vehicle at Fern and G, inside of my vehicle at Vine and G, this is a historical pattern of conduct of the harassment and stalking and surveillance by the state via aircraft. So this is not a question. I am just merely going to the extent of verbally documenting in this form how the state is aware, listening. So this is relevant with regard to prosecution of the state and the system and the way that it works and how they are aware. So this speaks to the conduct. This speaks to the malice engaged in the intent to oppress a targeted individual that is the subject of the state, where they are engaged in monitoring an American citizen. So listening to the targeted individual document its criminal conduct, and then engaging in mimicking that which they listen to the targeted individual who is aware that it is occurring. And so this is what you have for the past 45 minutes, airplanes and helicopters making themselves loudly perceivable while I'm inside of the apartment, and intentionally doing so. So this is an intent to seek to torment. This is an intent to seek to harass. This is deliberate intentional harassing conduct that the state is engaged in. And again, with regard to the corporate invasion of privacy, you have third parties acting in concert with the state. And so again, with regard to the ongoing elements that remain present at all times, the same moment picking up my communication device and engaging in operation, you have the resident from apartment number 41, use through audible activity, the barking of her dogs while she's crossing paths, walking past the apartment while I'm sitting in the living room with a communication device. This is not coincidence. The clinical term for this is the pattern of conduct. This is another example, another iteration of the same easy manner with which they are able to engage in P.O.C. by merely walking past, by merely being present, being in relevant position is the term that is the way that I have termed it with regard to monitoring a specific individual. And so you have the resident from 41 who frequently engages in just exiting the apartment, actually. The dogs begin barking on cue. She walks past, walks back into the apartment, or she walks the opposite direction. The conduct, though, is persistent. And it's not just that resident. This is just a form of engaging in P.O.C, being in relevant position and engaging in an activity where all elements remain present. And so with regard to the easy ways with which the state is engaged in this system, you have the ongoing activity by the airplanes, and again, they are listening. So right now there is a pause, and they listen to the targeted individuals speak about their criminal conduct. But as of for the past 45 minutes while I sat in the living room, they engaged in, the state specifically engaged in flying over one after another, a flurry of airplanes flying over this airspace directly where I'm at inside of the apartment at Woodside Apartments. And again, like I said, that's nothing new. This is the pattern that the state has been engaged in, but I am just pointing out the fact that they engage in increasing that conduct, that they listen to the target individual, will point out in the documentation. And so this is the state demonstrating its knowledge that the target individual is aware. This is the state demonstrating its malice, demonstrating its willful criminal conduct, demonstrating an intent to harass the target individual, all of which is relevant with regard to the prosecution of the state, where you have a state system where they are targeting an American citizen with the intent to monitor and stalk and surveil in violation of the Constitution, in violation of criminal law as well. But that is what is engaged in right now while I'm inside of the apartment, okay? And so you have also the use of amplification of sound into the apartment. Again, you have that same aspect of the unnatural amplification of sound into the apartment. Again, this is that which was occurring inside of the vehicle, that which was occurring inside of the jail facilities. The same is occurring inside of this residence at number 51 as the planes, and this again speaks to the character of the state's conduct. Not only are you able to hear the airplanes, but you can hear them magnifying sound into the living room. It's an unnatural level of volume that it's at, and so that is easily perceivable, particularly because I am familiar with the conduct of the state after studying it, being the target for such a long amount of time, and being forced to individually confront it myself and break it down such that it is something that can be readily identified and eventually prosecuted and exposed with regard to that which the state of California is engaged in with regard to American citizens. And so this is conduct that specifically followed my verbal documentation a few hours ago, and this is just to note how the state reacted by engaging in a heightened level of airplanes being heard flying over this airspace. And this is in conformity to that which has already been documented, so this is not new. It just speaks to the state being aware, listening, and engaging, and heightening that level of harassment, heightening that level of targeting, the malice of their conduct. This is what all of this is relevant to, in addition to the third-party conducts that are acting in concert with every move that I make, any activity that I engaged in. Again, you have third parties that are readily in action, and the presence of the third party from Apartment 41 in relevant position to me with her dogs, creating audible activity as she's walking. This is not a coincidence. This is P.O.C. That is the P.O.C., and this is a consistent iteration of the system at all times. It's 9:23 p.m. It is April 30th, 2020, and this is just to note the ongoing, unceasing system that is at work and remains so and has not stopped since my release from West Valley and here at inside of a private residence at Woodside Apartments, Apartment 51.